They're one of the world's most popular fruits. To meet demand, commercial growers have to help out Mother Nature. Greenhouses provide ideal conditions for these delicate plants.
And at Pure Flavor, their hothouses are pretty impressive, growing a wide range of fresh produce. And there's a lot more to these glass structures than meets the eye.
Greenhouses are very important for the future of food because not only are they in a closed environment where we can kind of control what is happening indoors, it's also probably the most efficient way of growing a vegetable crop nowadays.
A wide range of produce is grown here, but tomatoes are a mainstay of the crop. Inside, each square meter of tomato plants will produce 80 kilos of fruit in a year.
The tomato plants arrive to Pure Flavor's hothouse when they're a month old.
The tomatoes in this greenhouse in particular are called tomatoes on the vine. We grow red, yellow, and orange. The whole idea of this is that you harvest the tomato on the vine. The tomatoes are still pulling from the vine and keeping themselves more nurtured.
The greenhouse has to provide everything that nature does. And at one time, pollinating each flower was a laborious job.
You would actually have to go to each flower and shake the flower by hand or with some kind of machine that would vibrate to get the pollen to fall off the flowers. Without that simple action of the pollen falling out of the flowers, there would be no tomatoes. So today, there's no way we could possibly be doing all that by hand, hence the bees.
Yes, the genius solution was to let bees into the greenhouse to do what they do best, pollinate.
And if I had to guess, there's probably 300 bees within one box.
Honeybees will fly out the vents, find a better pollination. Bumblebees are ideal in greenhouse tomatoes because they don't communicate amongst each other. Bumblebees will stay and do the task at hand.
Bumblebees aren't the only insect that pest management specialist Tom looks after.
Tom makes sure that no harmful insects, such as whitefly, damage the crop.
I arrive every week to inspect the cards. I'm looking for things like whitefly, as you see here. Whitefly is a pest of tomatoes. With this information, I can develop a parasite program to control the insect pest in the tomato crop.
Tom fights fire with fire. He introduces an insect called Encarsia to the greenhouse. They're not harmful to the tomatoes, but they love to feast on whitefly. That's a much better alternative than using pesticides.
So we have the bugs and the bees, but one thing you won't find here is soil. Yep, this is the really clever bit. These tomatoes are grown hydroponically. Hydroponics is the science of feeding plants minerals through a water solution, so the tomatoes get everything they need from watering, making soil unnecessary.
But they do need something to help them stand tall, so rock wool is used. Rock wool is made from minerals ground into fiber.
Rock wool is just a growing medium. A lot of growers find that rock wool is a better growing medium for tomatoes because it tends to allow better saturation of water in the bag.
And any excess water is captured, sterilized, and reused. So these hothouses use only 1/20th of the amount of water that the equivalent farmland would use.
The tomatoes are happily being fed and starting to grow, but the climate has to be just right.
I can control day and nighttime temperatures with venting, heating.
Vents are opened if it gets too hot in the daytime, and they're kept cozy at night by a system of pipes carrying warm water. This maintains the ideal temperature of 22 to 23 degrees Celsius. The only thing that the plants depend on and that the team can't control is the sun. So Mother Nature still has her role to play.
Sunlight is key to growing any tomato variety, if it's outside in your garden or inside in our greenhouse.
Sun permitting, after around 95 days of growing on the vine, the tomatoes are the perfect size.
The perfect tomato is 3.5 inches round in diameter. A cluster would have 5 tomatoes, and our goal is to make sure all 5 of those tomatoes are the exact same size, and that would be a perfect tomato.
Now it's time to harvest, and that's a lot of cutting.
I'd say there's about 1.2 million tomatoes sitting here today, ready to be harvested at any time.
That's 700,000 tomatoes per acre each year.
Each cardboard tray is filled with 5 kilograms of vine tomatoes. A labeling machine passes back and forth, giving each bunch of tomatoes a barcode. And that's it. These tomatoes are ready to hit the stores in the peak of freshness.
Free of pesticides and great for the environment, these are possibly the greenest red tomatoes you'll ever eat.